I know I have given you guys a proper video in almost a year, but for Halloween, I want to talk about what I feel is a prime example of a movie that was saved via a hype train. And that movie is, shockingly, Megan is Missing. Now, I know this movie has been talked to death since it's been out, and most famously YMS is doing a video really ripping in a new one.
I give this a 9 out of 10. It's very disturbing though.
But if it was just the supposedly scary parts that governed your entire outlook of the film for you, I have to ask you this. How the fuck did you get that far? How did you watch through this whole fucking thing and enjoy it?
But I want to examine the impact the movie was able to reach as a result of all this attention, especially to get the re-recognition all these years later. So, let me be the possible 1,000th person to talk about Megan is Missing. Now, the summary of the movie has been talked so much that I'm pretty sure you can recite in your sleep, so I'm just gonna give you the cliff notes right here. The movie follows Megan and Amy as record all their lives on camera. Megan's an honor student in an abusive home. Amy and Megan go to a party where Amy walks on Megan playing the skin flute in exchange for drugs. Megan meets a 17-year-old on the internet who ghosts her but apologizes. Megan goes to meet him and is kidnapped. Amy goes to look for her, which results in her getting kidnapped. Amy is tortured, Megan dies, Amy dies, movie is over. The entire movie is bare bones with little meat to hold it together. It is perhaps the longest hour and a half I've ever spent watching a movie. It just feels like the characters come from a machine of character archetypes instead of being real relatable people. This is apparent in the scene where Megan literally exposition dumps her bad life. The story itself plays off as a cautionary tale of the dangers of the internet in the same sense Reefer Madness was a tale about the dangers of weed. Sure, the internet is a dangerous place, but the exploitive factor that the movie gives off really makes it come off more as a scare film instead of an informative film. Oh, and speaking of exploitive, the movie as a whole really likes to discuss and show fucked up stuff, and while I enjoy the occasional exploitation movie every now and again, I honestly have to ask, what was the point of doing an almost 5-minute scene where a character discusses giving a blowjob to a camp counselor?
So he's doing all this weird shit with his face, and all of a sudden there's like this explosion in my mouth, and all this hot gooey stuff starts coming out.
Did you swallow any of it?
Yeah, I swallowed a lot of it because I didn't have a choice. I mean, there was like a gallon of it, and it just kept coming. And he's like grabbing my head so I couldn't move or anything, right?
And if you really want to get into it, I keep hearing about the final 22 minutes. And yeah, it does have some creepy aesthetic to it. But if you really think about it, it tries way too hard to be shocking just for the sake of being shocking. Overall, I feel this movie's a huge mess of wasted potential of what could have been a decent mystery movie instead of being treated to, well, this. And that got me thinking, why do people like this movie? And then it hit me. The awkward acting, lack of character, scenes to scare a message into the viewer, it all made sense. Megan is Missing is an R-rated Lifetime movie. Think about it. Lifetime movies are most famous for being completely exploitive on serious issues, with themes to grab viewers' attention, acting characters that aren't interesting or relatable, with action that will get the viewer to stay and watch and come to the conclusion that it was an important movie with a serious message in the end. That is why Megan is Missing has positive reception and attention it has. It follows a typical Lifetime movie formula of being basic enough to understand while feeding the exploitive part of the human consciousness. But instead of reaching only its target audience of pearl-clutching, whiny afternoon-drinking mothers, the movie adds relevant ideas about the danger of the internet, while attempting to offer relatable characters to not only reach an older audience, but a younger audience as well. And the younger audience really ate that shit up. So while it was no surprise that there would be some positive reception when it came out originally and for years to follow, it wasn't until November 2020 that the movie received major attention thanks to the benign cancer tumor of the internet that is TikTok. Suddenly, you got all these young people watching the movie and reacting to it, which of course leads to a snowball effect of others wanting to watch it and see what the big deal was. And because of that Lifetime formula, people went nuts for it. So much so that the director Michael Gold had to respond to it all with a warning for new viewers.
I didn't get to give you the customary warnings that I used to give people before they watched Megan is Missing, which are, do not watch the movie in the middle of the night, do not watch the movie alone, and if you see the words photo number 1 pop up on your screen, you have about 4 seconds to shut off the movie if you're already kind of freaking out before you start seeing things that maybe you don't want to see.
It's insane how word of mouth is able to work for movies with barely any attention while it's already in theaters. It's even more insane to see it happen to movies over 10 years old and honestly forgettable. Look, in the end, the movie isn't good. There's loads of problems that pull it down and pretty much makes it forgettable after you watch it. But while I'm in that category that hates the movie, there certainly is a category that got something out of it. And you know, I'm not going to say anything bad about people who like it. And I'm certainly not going to say anything bad about the director or actors who are just doing their job and were given what they had in order to do what they need to do. Even if it was, in my opinion, weak. But what this movie did show is that word of mouth is a very serious thing when it comes to advertising movies, and to have a cult following years later. And at the end of the day, any attention, whether good or bad, will be good attention for this movie.